Alright, so here we are back for episode 6. We're continuing on building the National Oil Company model from Lifelike Trains. Should always have a bit of paper towel around when you're working with paint or glue. You can wipe it. Q-tips are great as well, in case you make a mess. We'll go over all the different kinds of brushes and techniques later on when we start some more scenery. But for now, we're just going to go over what I've done so far here. Okay, as I said before, I already started on this one before I discovered that I could do a YouTube channel. I'm still trying to figure out playlists. I got one, but the second one I'm having a little trouble getting that organized. So if you do visit my YouTube channel, then please kind of look around and you'll see different things. So as I said, I used regular gray primer for this. When you're spraying, it's best to do it outside if you can. And you should wear a mask. It doesn't have to be an N95, but it's not good to inhale it. Okay, so if you have to do it inside, again, make sure it's a well ventilated area. Maybe have a little fan running, window open, and you don't want to be getting your nose too close to the glue or paint. Once the painting is completed, you want to set it aside in a well ventilated area for it to dry. Okay, so these were really easy. There's two of them. You'll see how they go together. All right. Here's the top. Here's the bottom. I haven't glued these together yet because it's best to dry fit things first. And I'm also waiting on my preferred type of glue to come in the mail. For any kind of plastic models and accessories, Tamiya is the best. Alright, so actually I painted these quite a while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and you can still smell the paint coming off of them. So again, you want to make sure they're well dried and in a well ventilated area. You can see here I made a little mistake when I was cutting it off from the sprue, and so I got a little dig in there. But that's the kind of thing that can be easily fixed. All right, it's supposed to have a seam, and so we can do something with that for sure. Okay, and so these go together. Even before you paint, it's always a good idea to dry fit. Make sure everything fits together. If there's any problems, in addition to taking it off the sprue, you'll see little flashy bits where a little bit of plastic has oozed out. You'll need to trim those off, and you want to do that carefully with the utility knife or an X-Acto knife. So, okay, so these two are going together. As I said, I'm already partway through this model. So here's what we've got so far. A little house. You see the paint on the trim there is a little messy. Hands aren't as steady as they used to be. Okay. And then here, this goes like this. It's already partially decorated. And this one goes like this. Okay. Then the tanks. I don't think it matters which way they go, but you'll see here there's a square and a rectangle. Should just fit in there pretty snug, okay, but you don't want to push too hard. Like with most of these things, if you really have to force it, you're probably doing something wrong. So anyways, we won't spend time on that. So I've already pre-painted some of this stuff and pre-decorated. So we've got the, got the towers. Okay, those are done. You can see, you know, still need a little bit of touch up and things. That kind of stuff can be done at the end. I intentionally painted the platform a darker brown, and it's the same for the other side. Same thing. Okay. It's a lot easier to paint these things before you put them together. These have been all glued, because once they're glued, it's hard to get into the nooks and crannies and stuff like that. So. Here's what stuff looks like when it's just right on the plastic. I've painted these little hand carts already, and there's all sorts of little tiny things. I'm not sure I'll use much of that, but we'll just see. Okay, so that's that as far as it goes. One mistake I did make here is, this is why you look closely at your directions. I cemented the little house here to this piece. Now, I've looked through the instructions, and this piece isn't mentioned at all, so I'm not sure what's going on. Anyways, I cemented it down really well, and then I had to cut it out. Okay, so as you can see, you know, there's going to be gaps and stuff. This, I don't know, we'll figure it out later. Okay, so, but that's okay, because as you can see, I can put it down here. I'll still be able to affix it. Yes, there's a gap there, but you can see I've already painted the ground and started to decorate. This is the stuff you use, okay? Comes in different colors. It's from Woodland Scenics, and it's just a basic ground cover. Two ways you can apply that. You can do your painting, and while the paint's still wet, you can apply it. Or you can use a PVA white glue water wash. And you just kind of paint it on there, and then you drop in your ground cover. All right, so we're all set here. We'll try and see what this, at least one of these looks like when it's put together. There. So your model doesn't have to look exactly like the picture. They have the house is yellow here. I wasn't crazy about that. So I painted it brown. I'm not happy with the brown. I'm gonna add another coat, make it look a bit more like real wood. Okay, but you can see here, you know, it does look like grass. Oops, it does look like grass, and you know, I'll put this all together once all the painting's finally done. There we go. Okay, so my next step here is going to be to paint this silver. Okay, and I mentioned I did a test on this. Okay. This I got at my local Michaels, which is a great resource. Crafters Acrylic Metallic Paint, Silver Morning. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You can do this two ways. You can do it by brush, or you can do it by airbrush. I'm not going to take this out of the box or anything. But this little guy here, they call it the little silver bottle, and it's a handheld rechargeable airbrush. Okay, it's not fancy. It's a single action. Some have a trigger, some have two things, whatever. But the paint goes in up here, and then it comes out here, and sprays very evenly, and it's very fine. To use this, most of the time you have to use a special airbrush thinner, and I'm not there yet with it. So I have the thinner, but that's another project for a rainy day. Okay, figure out how that works. In the meantime, okay, we've got a little bit of cleanup to do. I'm going to put my mouse. Okay. So when I painted this, these areas are to be glued. Okay, and the glue doesn't really take very well to the paint, so we're just going to scrape this off. You don't need to see the whole process, but just to give you the idea. I don't know if you can see the contrast in color there. This is lighter. Okay, so I'll just show you how to do that. You can do it first or after, whichever you prefer. If you do it after, then you'll be able to, deal with any silver paint that got on there. Okay, so we want to brush it off really good. Make sure there's no little bits of residue there. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so we'll get our little palette. And we'll add some paint. And shake it really well. And squirt it in there. Okay. You don't want a lot, but you can always add more. And when you're mixing paint, that's usually what you do. Okay. Somewhere. Okay. Now when you're doing work like this, you're going to want a pair of tweezers. You're going to want more than one pair of tweezers when you're doing your models and working on your trains. Alright. I got these in a complete set. It was a whole kit of different tools. We'll have an episode on tools later. But it was a great value, and it was a lot better than trying to buy everything on its own. Okay, so here we go. This is a fairly large surface area, so I'm going to use a larger brush, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so you just mix it up, get a good amount on your brush there, and start painting. So you want to have nice even brush strokes. So you don't actually see the brush strokes. Okay. This is why the airbrush is so good, because you won't see any brush strokes. Okay, so you see how that's going on. You can see the difference already. It's actually taking a lot of paint, which is not a bad thing. And the thing about when you're painting like this, if you make a mistake, you can always paint over it. It's simple. Okay. Now this is the bottom section, so I'm not going to worry too much about brush strokes here, because once it's assembled, nobody's really going to see underneath there, except for, you know, the color itself. Okay, so as I'm doing this, I'm thinking more and more that I need to get going with the airbrush. Okay, so there you go. You've got the idea there, and I'm going to finish this up. And might be able to smooth it out with a foam brush. You want to make sure you don't accumulate too much paint around these contact points, because then you just have to scrape it off later on. Okay, so that's that, and we'll be back next time, and we'll see how it looks and what we need to do to repair it. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.